Folkestone is an art school. Folkestone is an art school. Episode 2. Being an artist is about governance and accountability. It's about looking at politicians and seeing what they're up to, but also looking at the world and seeing what it's up to, seeing how amazing it is, seeing how beautiful it is.
Of starlings, including imitations of jay and owl.
So I'm going to draw this Super 8 projector, Bell & Howell, film camera, not projector, which when I was a student I made lots of Super 8 films on. And of course cameras are all about looking. About looking and then doing something with the substance of that looking. I've kept this, I think, because of the, I'm sure it still works, but I've kept it because of its 1960s branding, really. Filmo Sound 8. You could get really lost in tonally representing this, all this sort of shiny surfaces and the sort of fake leather surface. Got a great sort of fake leather surface which you could really sharp pencil, go to town and really make an intricate drawing. But of course this is for looking at things and looking at the world. Let's draw a frogman. Not quite sure you can see that he's a frogman now, but he's a sort of good set of abstract shapes. Like Bradley Wiggins as a sort of landscape, as a hill, as a mound. I could continue him down here. Look. So I'm going to demonstrate now some absent-minded doodling. In fact, the idea of the absent-minded doodle, or indeed the absent mind, in normal life you would think that would be a terrible thing, but in art it can be quite good to do things which are a bit automatic, where the mind is a bit absent, where you're not planning and thinking things through all the time. I think making a drawing like this demonstrates something that's really important, which is having a plastic process, which might be something that we come on to later. So in this design, you know, anything could happen. I could bring in this, you know, wonderfully sexy woman again and just stick her here for the Pope looking at her. And I could think, oh, that'd be good. Or I could think, oh, maybe that's not great. It's a bit sexist. So I could move her away. And it's good to have a plastic process. Hey seagulls! Did you know Folkestone is an art school? Deep looking. When you are drawing, you are still. Stillness is consciousness raising. Let's go on a beauty hunt. Actually, I think I found something quite desultory to draw. I think we should go and also draw some sort of slightly disreputable looking objects. But this bit of an old boat, I'm not quite sure. I think it's beautiful, even though it's desultory and thrown away.
Years ago.
So I found something more conventionally beautiful to draw here. This is an extraordinarily beautiful plant. Really gorgeous forms, really lovely colour. They all look like late Matisse cutout shapes. They look like elements of Matisse's Oceania. And I've seen this plant before, most notably in Derek Jarman's garden, where he obviously liked it and cultivated it, which is on the beach at Dungeness, not far from here. You could make a bit of a cliche about this and say, well, these are just like wiggly lines, like that. But actually, each leaf enfolds upon itself in a uniquely distinct way. So we've gone on a sort of beauty hunt here, trying to find beauty in desultory, banal and ordinary objects, but also here in natural forms. Folkestone is an art school. Deep looking. Art is about light and dark. The 15th century painter Caravaggio invented chiaroscuro, light and dark, because he thought, and religious patrons thought, that art was about shining light into dark places. Sketchbooks are really important things. They're important places to develop ideas, but of course they become diaries, and they also give an incredible insight into people's lives. These are sketchbooks from my father, and my dad studied art at the Royal College of Art during the Second World War, and he was in the Home Guard as an art student, and this is a drawing that he made of a kind of Captain Mannering figure here. He's obviously teaching them how to fire a rifle. The rifle is on a kind of easel, and all the Home Guard are sitting there being told how to fire this rifle. My dad, I think not for no reason, has the rifle pointed at the head of the man who's telling him how to operate the rifle. And then also, of course, he's making this drawing. He's not listening to a word that the man is telling him. But it's an extraordinary sketchbook, but also exercises looking at Italian Renaissance gardens. I also have his last sketchbook, which is rather sad, but I mean, this poor old chap there, that's the last drawing my dad ever made. And here he is in hospital with his sketchbook, drawing the man dying of cancer in the cancer ward opposite him. I also have my own sketchbooks from when I was at art school. And like all art students, I was obsessed with sex. And I made all these I made a whole series of kind of Dubuffet-like paintings of various different creatures all having sex with each other, but they were on roller skates. They're all interconnected. I think that was my girlfriend at the time. They're quite expressionistic drawings. And then also my son's drawings. So what I did and still do is say to my kids, why don't you do a drawing in my sketchbook? Going on a gondola in Venice. And also there are lots of notes developing stories, so lots of written texts. And the whole thing becomes a huge diary and ideas for slogans. Join the Mexican wave mass yawn, or not, whatever. I think that's to do with the apathy ban. Flow diagrams and brainstorming spider diagrams of lectures and talks that I've been to.
I declare Folkestone an art school.
Do you want to draw what you cannot see? Or draw what you can see? Drawing is also giving evidence of things seen, but also experiences you've had, rather like a policeman making notes in his notebook. I went to a public meeting at the Hackney Empire recently to discuss the emergency selling off of the Hackney Empire's education theatre in order to fund a £2 million hole in its finances. It was like a Mike Leigh film. Compromised theatre managers and creative types formed a panel on the stage. They were shouted at by an angry mob of audience members. A lady from the Arts Council was telling us how excited she was about the Cultural Olympiad. I thought one unforeseen result of the Olympics was that a lot of publicly funded arts venues across London, like the ICA and in the East End, the Hackney Empire, are facing, if not closure, then serious shortfalls in their funding. Drawing is about understanding, drawing parts of things. Drawing topography, drawing the landscape, was really part of the Enlightenment. How do we understand the world? I have got your homework right here. I want you to draw 5 noses. Draw something you think is beautiful. I want you to draw 5 clouds. I want you to draw your favourite smell. That's an impossible thing to do. I want you to draw something ugly. That's a very easy thing to do. I want you to caricature your friends. Exaggerate their features, make their noses longer and their ears bigger. Can you draw a perfect circle? Draw a variety of different kinds of line. That's your homework.